They thought they could steal my 600-acre farm while I was away, planting fake signs, forging papers, and tearing into my great-grandfather's barn with a bulldozer. But they didn't know I'd laid a trap so tight it'd snap shut like a bear trap. My name's Tom Wheeler, 52, born and bred on this Texas soil, raised on sweat, cattle, and the kind of quiet that lets you hear the wind whisper through the grass. This is the story of how I fought to keep what's mine and won. This land, just outside the sleepy town of Pine Hollow, Texas, has been in my family since 1901, when my great-grandfather staked it with nothing but a horse and a handshake. It's 600 acres of rolling pastures, a winding creek, and memories of my kids chasing fireflies under the summer stars. I never imagined I'd be standing in a courtroom, defending it from a suburban empire builder named Karen Mitchell, president of the Pinecrest Estates HOA. She was the kind of woman who'd iron her jeans and call it casual, with a smile that hid a shark's teeth. 2 years ago, the trouble started. A developer swept into Pine Hollow, turning the fields across the road into a cookie-cutter neighborhood called Pinecrest Estates. Rows of beige houses sprouted like weeds, each with a solar panel and a mailbox that screamed conformity. Karen Mitchell led the charge, strutting around like she owned the whole county. Our first meeting was at my gate, where she handed me a glossy pamphlet titled Unifying Communities Through Progress. I told her my cows didn't care about her curb appeal. She didn't laugh. From then on, Karen made it her mission. Letters started piling up in my mailbox, first polite, then pushy. Repaint the barn to match the neighborhood's aesthetic vision. Stop the roosters from crowing at dawn. The smell of hay was an olfactory nuisance. I ignored her. This is a farm, not a gated community. If you don't like the scent of manure, don't build your McMansion next to a ranch. But Karen wasn't just a nuisance. She was cunning. I caught one of her HOA minions flying a drone over my pasture, claiming it was for landscape assessment. I stared down the kid until he nearly dropped the controller. Then came her boldest move, a proposal to donate part of my land for a community greenbelt. Funny how her greenbelt sliced through my best grazing field. I saw her game polite on the surface, predatory underneath. So when my wife, Laura, convinced me to take our kids on a 2-week trip to Colorado, I didn't just pack a suitcase. I prepared for war. Before we left, I had the land resurveyed, every inch mapped with GPS and filed with the county and the Texas Land Trust. I sat down with my lawyer, Jim Baxter, a quiet man with a mind like a steel trap. We drafted a notarized directive. If anyone touched my property while I was gone, Jim had full authority to sue the HOA into the next century. I also registered the land as a historical agricultural trust with a multi-generational clause, good luck rezoning that without a federal court order. For good measure, I installed motion sensors at the gate, trail cams hidden in old birdhouses, and a solar-powered backup system, wired by my buddy Hank from the volunteer fire department, just in case someone got clever with the power lines. I handed Jim a sealed envelope labeled, "Open if Karen gets bold." Laura teased me, asking if I was prepping for a burglary or an HOA invasion. Same difference, I said with a grin. A week into our trip, we were hiking in the Rockies, the kids laughing as they skipped rocks across a stream, when my phone buzzed with a grainy photo from my neighbor, Walt, Pine Hollow's unofficial watchdog. It showed a cement truck, workers in orange vests, and a sign staked into my front pasture. Pinecrest Ranch, Phase 2, coming soon. My blood boiled. Walt called, his voice grim. "Tom, they're tearing up your alfalfa like it's a buffet. Some guy asked if you'd be open to a modern rural lifestyle package." I told him the only package you'd deliver was a swift kick. I pulled up the security feed. There was Karen, in a branded jacket and sunglasses, striding across my land like she'd bought it at a flea market, pointing at my great-grandfather's barn while a bulldozer revved nearby. My fists clenched so hard my knuckles cracked. She wasn't asking anymore, she thought she owned it. What she didn't know was she'd just walked into my trap. We drove home through the night, the Texas sunrise painting the horizon red as we pulled into the driveway. The sight made my stomach churn. The barn was roped off like a crime scene. Spray-painted lot numbers scarred my pasture. A shiny HOA kiosk sat in the middle of my field, where my daughter learned to ride her bike, manned by a nervous teenager handing out flyers. And there was Karen, holding a coffee cup, her sunglasses perched like a tiara. "Mr. Wheeler," she cooed, "you're back early. We've made such progress." I didn't say a word. I handed her a thick envelope-me injunction. Then I waved, and a black SUV rolled up. Out stepped Jim Baxter, cool as a winter morning, with Sheriff Daniels and a county clerk holding a court order. Karen's face went white as chalk. The sheriff walked to the nearest excavator. All work stops now. Any equipment left here in 1 hour is evidence. Karen stammered, "This is absurd. We have documents proving Tom signed over the land." Jim's voice cut through like a knife. "Your documents include the signature of Martha Wheeler." I nodded. "My grandmother, dead since 2004. Also," Jim added, "you misspelled Tom's name 3 times." Her clipboard shook in her hands. The workers packed up, the kiosk kid bolted, and Karen stood alone, eyes darting like a cornered animal. Sheriff Daniels stepped closer. "Ma'am, you're under investigation for forgery, fraud, trespassing, and conspiracy to seize protected property. Call a lawyer. A good one." The trial was a spectacle. News trucks lined the courthouse. Locals sold popcorn on the steps. And Judge Harlan presided like a man carved from granite. "This isn't about zoning," he said. "This is about whether someone faked documents to steal 600 acres of family land." Jim laid out the evidence. Photos, forged signatures, and an HOA email titled Wheeler Land Acquisition Plan. The courtroom buzzed when he revealed Karen had used a scanned signature from a 2006 Farm Expo flyer belonging to my dead grandmother. The judge's glare could have curdled milk. The gavel fell hard. The HOA's actions were voided, my land reaffirmed. Karen referred for criminal charges, and the HOA fined so heavily their expansion plan sank like a stone. A week later, I sat on my porch, coffee in hand, watching the sun climb over the barn. Laura planted wildflowers along the fence. The kids ran through the fields, laughing. Even our old dog, Rusty, seemed to have a spring in his step. To celebrate, we threw a party to Pine Hollow stand. We set up a dunk tank with a cardboard cairn, a corn maze spelling out private property, and a sign where the HOAs had been, now painted red. "Welcome to Wheeler Ranch. The last thief is still in court. Enjoy the barbecue." Neighbors laughed, shared beers, and swapped stories of HOA overreach. I looked out over the land my great-grandfather built and whispered, "Try telling me this is yours again." What do you think? Have you ever faced someone trying to take what's yours, whether it's land, pride, or something else? Share your thoughts in the comments below, especially on where you stand on fighting injustice or standing up to bullies. Let's hear your voice.